because there is no fight for power when we hear. We know where the power goes. We just gonna put it in the right place. If you make something work the way it's supposed to work, it'll last longer and work better than if you use it for something it wasn't meant for. You say your whole family from Macomb? Shit, that's a good chance we related. So there's a tribe of Mississippians called Shoshone. Too Short is tied to that tribe, and the tribal chief actually was my first girlfriend's father, named Sonny Shaw. He was the chief, but he was here. Anyway, the Shaw clan is Shoshone, Indigenous Americans, and the Washington family is the Washita. It's the same name change to fit the English language. So if your last name is Washington, you're a Washita who is named after George Washington for conquering the Washita or Wichita. Wichita, Kansas was a stronghold, right? So now we starting to get to the Hall of Records. Now we starting to get to the Halls of Records. Once we get to the Hall of Records, they can't, that's it. So the records is kept. It's just, are we wise enough to get the records back? Leonard mean lion. My uncle named Leonard too, by the way. Oh, the Sparks, yeah. So we got the Sparks up here. Sister Sparks and Brother Sparks. They got officers as they offspring up here in Pontiac. So the Sparks family come from down there. They Brother Sparks was a dog man. He was teaching me some dog stuff. Okay, so you want to know how to get the records. First of all, you got to know where the records at. The records is in the mountain. And the records is not just records, they what you call your trust documents. And this is where our money at. You have to be agreed to publicly declare ownership of the records as a tribal grid on the land. You have to have what you call historical works to verify your position. Dane Calloway, Malachi York have those indigenous works where they can say, I'm the grid on the land, and this is where our records is in just outside of Kansas City, Kansas. Right? So I talked about it on a Zoom call the other day. But what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to try to figure out how to post clips from it so y'all know exactly where the records is to the trust. When you get the records to the trust, is the records to the money. Because all of our wealth is held in the trust. And the trust is owned by the Catholic Church by papal bulls. When you understand which papal bulls, which I already went through that, but the papal bulls is what kept us separated from our family's wealth, what we call the royal coffers. The royal coffers is all this shit you seen in the museum that they said from Mexico and Egypt and Tibet. That's our shit. But the Catholic Church said we was imbeciles and non-functional chieftains, and therefore we did not have the ability to hold our own wealth. So they put us on an allowance plan, right? When they put us on the allowance plan, then we had to earn an allowance by working under a slave system until Master gave us a check at the end of the week. We never did that. In the indigenous land, every job was per diem, by the day or by the job. This job paid $400. When you're done, I'm going to give you $400, period. Or if it wasn't that way, it would if you work with me today, I'm going to give you $400 for today's labor. Whatever we do, don't matter. At the end of the day, when you go home, I'm going to give you $400. No credits. Credit and debt is how they trapped us in slavery, right? And they only did it using a penal system code of token and reward. What we think is money is not money. It's fiat, which means it's something somebody said had value, but it has no value. So Jones is also Johns, and the Johns, they are kindred clans. Jones and Johns is the same last name in the indigenous language. It's just split in English to tell you that y'all two different people. It's also Jonas, Jonas, and by blood linkage, you are Johnsons, right? The sons of John, and Jones sons, which is the sons of Joneses, and all of these names. Our culture is tied up in the last names because they couldn't just take it, right? The last name I got from my father, Hayes, is really a short form of Hayoka. And it's pronounced in the indigenous tongue as Haya.
But Africa wasn't called Africa before the Berlin Conference, but it was called Eastern Ethiopia was Indus Valley, and Ethiopia proper was the Ethiops that the Greeks renamed. Land of the burnt faces. Okay. Egyptos, land of the dark faces.
Let's get to another question. Let's see. I think Rod answered this one already. The black nobility. Yeah, he already talked about the black nobility. So I'm gonna try to get to a question that. All right. Somebody said, "Will we ever have access to other lands outside the Antarctica ice wall?"
You got access now if you can afford to get there. But the wall is not a wall; it's a shelf.
It's a what?
A shelf.
What you mean?
You ever see the that tree stump they call the mountain in Arizona?
Yeah.
You see how the top of it is flat? But the sides of it go up. Right? That's the shelf. The top is the shelf.
Okay.
Right? What they call in the ice wall is just the outside of the freeze zone. Right? A lot of the icebergs over the millennia have broken off from there and floated into the oceans at different places and eventually melted.
Right.
Right. But it's the wall has a shelf on the top that covers the land, most of the land of Antarctica. All of it not covered with ice, just most of it. But they came from a splash. So imagine a upsplash of water suddenly freeze. Right. And that's what happened because it pierced in the last Anunnaki war that caused the ice age, that nuclear winter, it shifted the earth in its atmosphere, like pushed the yolk outside of the egg. Right. And then it got flash froze. That's what make it be frozen.
All right. I think that is it, y'all. That is it. I guess this is a good way to conclude the show, Rod. They want to know, what are we supposed to be doing as a people right now to prepare for what's to come? This is the conclude the show tonight, y'all. What should we be doing to prepare for what's to come,
Rod? Study family banking. Build stronger family ties, and communicate as much as possible with like-minded people in the open as much as possible. And Don't fall for none of the fear tactics. And we good.
So we should be getting closer to our family, you saying?
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people don't fuck with their family, Rod. I'm sorry to tell you, man. People be like,
Listen, Rich, even if they don't mess with their own family, they mess with a family.
Yeah, you're right.
They got a family that they love. Like, this the family I should have been born in.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the tribe energy. They tribing up doing that.
Right.
Your relatives is people you born with. Your friends is the family you pick, and your family is the ones that ride with you till the wheels fall off.
Right.
The bonds of affection is tied by the ties of loyalty, right? And you know the ones that got your best interest at heart. Like anywhere I go, if I got a relative there, I can pull up and go get a blanket out the closet and lay down and go to sleep.
Right.
They're not gonna have no problem with it. But there's some people that can't do that.
Yeah.
They show up at their family house, they might meet firearms.
Yeah.
But everybody got a family that they click with. And this is why we never had orphans. Because somebody gonna take you in. But the family dynamic is not gonna change. Family gonna have a family structure. They're gonna have strong ties. They're gonna enjoy each other. They're gonna commonly gather, you know, and do what family do.
Indeed. Oh man, what a show, right, y'all? What we got? We got about 3,000 people in the chat. I know y'all enjoyed it. Y'all done stuck around, man. All 3,000 y'all done stuck around. Man, Rod, what a show, man. I'm glad I called you to do this show tonight. I'm glad we chose the topic. Once again, family, me and Rod gonna do a part 2 to help us to tap into our ESP, extrasensory perception, telepathy, telekinesis, all that good stuff, all these abilities we got. We're going to do a part 2 of my Patreon next week. Definitely make sure you're a part of Patreon, family. Also, the 9 the God Fest will be on Patreon as well. So you want to be a Patreon to get all of the goodies. All right. Rod, any contact info you want to leave the people with before we get out of here?
You know, they can find me on Facebook at Rod Hayes. My profile and background change often. And you can find me on the SikApe on Instagram. Otherwise, you catch me here with Brother Rich or with the Young Elder over there. And occasionally other people invite me, and I show up there too. Shout out to True Seekers 88. They had me on there a couple times on Rumble. The corporation was trying to convince us that it's business as usual, that it's functioning as normal, but all the time it's in the active process of liquidation. That includes the UN, that includes Vatican, that includes London, that includes Swiss banking networks. It was all being seized by the Earth Alliance. Military Department of Defense, America is the lead. The most developed military in the world, the United States of America, as they say, is the lead military in the Earth Alliance. Remember, I told y'all they're looking for cause to start moving the National Guard in now under the martial law. It's something that we ain't noticing about the birth citizenship. That include all the judges and lawyers too. Once you become a noble with a title of nobility, right? Esquire, honorable, almost all attorneys are esquires. You are a stand-in royal. A stand-in royal is a sir. A sir is another title of nobility. If your part of the family deal with the management of land resources, then y'all become the land barons. The land barons and the family bankers are the ones secretly pulling all of the strings because the land barons is trying to steal land that you can't take from heritable birthright. And the bankers is trying to cover it up with fraudulent contracts. The courts is the bank, right? When you at bar is what it's called. That means at the bank. A sandbar is a bank of sand that extends out into the water. So when you enter into the court, you enter into the bar or the sandbar, which is a protrusion, a peninsula of a bank, because the bank is the land surrounding the body of water that's not the sandbar, right? The reason why they call it the sandbar is the reference to the Plymouth, because they had to keep that ship out there in order to maintain the term called occupation. If you don't understand military occupation, then you don't even, that's why you can't unravel American history. The military occupation is something that happened as a result of a war and an invasion. If you go back to 2001, you can get a crash course in military occupation of two countries after 9/11, Iraq and Afghanistan. They handled both of them different, but they occupied both of them, right? One, they established a whole new leadership regime, right? And the other one, they just shifted the political party that was ruling out of the picture and put an alternative political party in power. The side effect to that is the political party they put in power was infiltrated by the political party that they ousted and then reclaimed under the same name that you put out there. And that's why they keep saying America never won a war. They say we won, but we always end up paying the bill like we losing. Look, the Cold War.
Right.
If you get a 1995, 85, 75 almanac, and you look for gross domestic product, gross national product, right? Then you look for economic aid. Go to the country of Russia, and it's going to tell you in there exactly how much annual aid Russia, the USSR, was getting from the United States. It roughly was about $6 billion a year, right? When Israel was established, America was paying Israel under the pretense of World War II reparations. So that means that we had to lose to Germany. Operation Paperclip.
Yeah,
right?
I was wondering why they was paying them, bro. You just told me that why, because I was like, damn, why we paying? They lost to Germany, the one that did them, you know?
So they want us to think we won the First World War, the Second World War. They want us to think that the same people won the Civil War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the American Revolution. That's not the case. Anything that would cause what's called lose face, right? If anything caused you to lose face, that means you lose value in the presence of others. Then they have to cover that up. They don't want you to know they weak as they are, because they relying on you to let them use your strength that you don't even know you lending them.
I didn't even know that them. That's the reason why they were paying. Because I was trying to figure out, why is America paying Israel for what Germany did to them? That don't even make no sense. So now,
if you go through the almanac, almost every country America was giving economic aid to. Some of them is classified, most of them is economic aid or some kind of financial relief. Mm-hmm. And we the richest country in the world, well, we paying every country in the world. Right. That don't make sense. You can't keep your status if you got a leak in your rear end.
Yeah. That's what Donald Trump said about the that we was paying $300 billion or something to Canada every year. And then I know why they pay Japan. Japan is because of the they dropped the bomb on them, and that's like international type things when they gotta but what's the deal on that? Go ahead.
The pride of the Japanese, they've been stopped accepting reparations for World War II.
Yeah.
You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to outdo America in auto manufacturing, clothing manufacturing, technical manufacturing, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And hold on one second now. This episode's calling.
Hey, y'all, if you just not tuning in, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, man. We got SikApe in the Northgate. We're going to take questions, get some of y'all questions from the crowd, man, so we can, take some of the questions y'all might have. And I got a couple questions for Rod to start it out, and then we'll take questions from y'all. So if you're just not tuning in, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you share it. And we're going to crack heads and twist caps, man. You already know how Rod do it. We picking the lock here. We picking we going through the time machine, and we piecing the puzzle together. Most of my questions is stimulated around. We're gonna get to your questions, Sugar Shane. Hey, most of my questions is stimulated around what's going on now. Hey, Rod. So you left off while Japan said that they don't want to take no money from U.S. dollars no more. Nobody wants the U.S. dollar for that matter.
Well, that was before BRICS.
Go ahead.
Japan is trying to outcompete in productivity and quality products. Hold on. Let's show you something. I was working at GM. They was telling us about this guy, to start doing research on him. His name is Dr. Deming, and he came up with this quality program for productivity, what they call quality control measures. The Japanese, when Ford, Chrysler, GM turned him down and said they didn't want to hear it. So because he was already an auto executive, he was going on a trip to Japan. He presented it to the Japanese auto manufacturers. This is where your Lexus come from, your Lexus and your Infiniti. So when he presented it to them, they was like, that's the key, because if you go back to before the 70s and even in the 70s, when you seen something that has a stamp on it said made in America, you knew you had some top of the line A1 best made stuff on the planet. Don't nobody do it like us. But now we doing everything using cheaper material, shortcutting the labor to maximize profits, and it's making the products crap. So they stick to the quality dynamic. So they stealing our reputation by stealing our quality productivity ratio that we used to maintain, right? That's the difference in the architecture of old and the architecture of today. Some of these buildings is 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 years old. They look like they was built 200 years ago. And some of these new buildings been around 30, 40 years. They look like it's time to tear them down. Right?